Hey, everybody, I'm Miranda Kitterlin Lynch, one of your co hosts for Checking In. Unfortunately, my partner in this endeavor, Leon Thomas, is not with us today. But what we do have is an amazing guest here to join us. If we want to go ahead and bring him right on in. Hi, Diego. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
Hi Miranda, how are you doing? Thank you for having me.
Of course. Wonderful. So, before we jump into anything, I'd love to give you an opportunity to share with our listeners who you are and what you do.
Oh, okay, nice. Yeah. So again, my name is Diego Ng. I'm a restaurant owner here in Fort Lauderdale. The restaurant name is Temple Street Eatery. We do Asian American comfort food. Try to do a little eclectic global street food type of thing at a fast casual setting.
And not only are you a restaurant owner, but you are also an alum of Florida International University.
Yes, we are. Panther proud.
Yay! Oh, here we go.
There you go.
Awesome. So, I think that your story is so cool. The story of how you got to where you are now. And that's one of the reasons that I love bringing you in as a guest speaker. I love any opportunity I have to shout you out. Plus, the food is amazing. If you're in South Florida,
Thank
you
you.
have got to go check out Temple Street Eatery. It's absolutely phenomenal. But back to your story. Give us just a quick little journey through how you got to where you are today, starting with your time at FIU.
Yeah, my time at FIU, so it's been 21 years now. So it's been a pretty cool. Went to school 2000. Started 2004. Like any other student trying to figure out where we are, what we want to do. And then I ended up, looking into the hospitality industry. Being here in South Florida, the hospitality industry is obviously one of the biggest industry, and it really like gravitated towards. I first wanted to do hotels and administration, but as I started working in the industry, um, I will always gravitate towards going back to the restaurants. Then I ended up doing my internship in 2006 in New York City at a boutique hotel in Lexington Avenue called Roger Smith's Hotel. Ended up rotating through all the different departments, but somehow just that restaurant and the catering part just kept calling me and calling me, and I just started thinking, hey, that's something that I really want to kind of like focus more on. And once I came back, didn't really look back. Uh, During South Beach Wonder Food Festival, which is one of the biggest events for the FIU, created by FIU, right? We ended up just jumping around into different, the different departments that was there, and it just so happened that one of my idols, the Iron Chef Morimoto, Masaharu Morimoto, was being featured. And I told the chef, Michael Moran at the time, I'm like, Chef, I don't care what we have to do. I want to volunteer and work with him because I want to get a job with him. And he plugged me in there, and I got to meet him. Obviously, I fangirl quite a bit, and I made myself a little business card with my name on it and an email address, and I said to him, "Hey, long shot, but I'm a student. I have no culinary experience whatsoever, but I want to work for you." And 2 months later, he gives the his executive chef gives me a call and says, "Hey, we're opening a location in Boca Raton and Resort. It's a very intimate space, and I want to see if you want to come in and become kind of one of my pupils." And I said, "Yes." I was working at another restaurant at a time that literally just opened, and I had a pretty good position with a lot of growth, but I didn't want to lose this opportunity. And I think when I joined that company, with more Chef Morimoto, that's where my culinary journey really started to grow, like accelerated. So yeah.
I think I'm just going to pause you one second just because I want to point out you already had a position, a good position where you knew you could grow, but you had a vision for yourself. You had a dream, if you will. And I just love how you didn't hesitate so far along your journey to jump after opportunities. I think it's can
Yeah.
be scary for people when new opportunities present themselves because of the fear of the unknown. It's human nature, right? But I just love that it sounds like you didn't even hesitate every time an opportunity arose.
Yeah, I kind of like at the time being young, and it was kind of like I didn't really think about it. Now that I look back into it, I was like, wow, did I really just do that? Because I'm not gonna lie, like the position that I was in at the time, I entered. Well, so it was a Benihana company that still have raw sushi. They just had opened here in my hometown, and I was in a management position. They regarded me pretty well, but I look at it. I'm like, I'm still at the time 23 years old. My culinary career, as I could have some. I had already some managerial experiences, but my culinary career where I wanted to explore more. So I said, if there's an opportunity to find a good mentor, I would say in our younger years, follow one, try to learn and try to like, get that experience, because it definitely did now later down in life, it definitely did create a good foundation for me.
Yeah, amazing. Okay, so you got to work with one of your idols. You started your culinary career. Then what?
So yeah, I ended up start working with him for about 3 years or so. And then, after a while, Um, my goal had always been to be an entrepreneur, own my own business. Um, so I was kind of saying, well, I'm really going into the restaurant industry. I've been working about 3 years with Chef Morimoto, 4 years, gaining a lot of knowledge on the culinary aspect of it. Um, and I had a good conversation with my dad because my dad has had dabbled into the restaurant industry as well. He is not too fond of the restaurant industry because it is a difficult industry. He didn't had a good experience with some of his venture. So, but he kind of like looked at me and he goes like, "Are you sure you really want to go down this path?" And I said, "Yeah, I mean, I'm already in it. I think I'm gonna go into the long run." So he kind of gave me an advice. He said, "Look, man, you've been working for about 4 years with this company. Um, you might have some growth here and there, but at the same time, he's like, you're now like 25, 26. He's like, if you really want to go into a restaurant, I think another aspect of it is like you should learn the cultural side of any of the concepts that I wanted to create. It's like your goal is still to become an entrepreneur. So it's like I think is your goal gonna be working under somebody, or is your goal gonna be opening your own thing? And I'm like, well, I want to follow your entrepreneur, footsteps, and I want to open my own business. So it's like, so if you're gonna open your business, one thing is knowing how to make a recipe. Another thing is connecting to the recipe and understanding uh, why a dish is being made like that, why the food is created like that, like the ingredients and stuff like that. And that resonated. That conversation resonated with me quite a bit. And I think like 3 days after that conversation, I ended up going to my mentor, and I said to him, "Hey, chef, I'm ready to move on." And he looks at me. He's like, "Well, it's about damn time." He goes and says to me, right? And I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, man, you've been here for 4 years. You've grown with me. I taught you as much as I could. I think that you're ready to go." And then he's like, "So what do you want to do?" Because he goes, "Well, Diego, you are, Asian, but you also speak Spanish because I'm Chinese Venezuelan." And he goes and pitched to me. He's like, "Diego, like, Chef Morimoto is opening in Mexico. So if you want, I can connect you and maybe you go and work in Mexico." And I said to Chef, I'm like, yes and no. Like, I think I want to go and immerse myself into like the cultures of like a concept that I'm trying to create in my head, right? Because working with Chef Morimoto is Japanese cuisine. uh, he does have a wider range of global type of food, but it's a refined style. um, but for me, I always thought like, hey, if I open something, it's like a mom and pop type of thing, like something that is local for the people. And yeah, I said, I think I'm gonna travel. And he's like, you're gonna travel? I'm like, yeah, I saved some money. I think I'm gonna go travel and go see the world for a little bit and see what's going on. With the connections with FIU, I had a classmate of mine that he lives in Japan, and I reached out to him, and he said, "If you're coming to Japan, you stay with me, man. Like, there's like he's like, there's nowhere else you're gonna go. I'm gonna host you." He also owned his family also owned a restaurant there. So I stayed, I was gonna stay in the place in Chiba, which is close to Narita Airport. um, Chef hears it and he goes, "Okay, cool. You're going to Japan. You're going to where So he ended up connecting me with some restaurants over there, put me to stash and do all this stuff, try it out. So Japan, it was one of my destinations. I also, during my internship in New York City, most of my flatmates were from Spain. So I reached out to them and I said, "Hey, I want to come to Spain." And they're like, "Oh, you're coming to Spain?" I'm like, "Yeah, I want to go to Europe. So I'm going to go travel around." So they're like, "Well, we're hosting you. You can come and stay with us." So I got a chance to go to Europe and, Italy, Spain, London. Went to all the different, places. Um, Went to Hong Kong as well. Since I'm already in Japan, I was like, "Yeah, let me go to Hong Kong," which the restaurant Temple Street Eatery is an ode to Hong Kong because my dad is from Hong Kong. So that's where my background is. So I got to go over there, immerse myself, and my last destination was Lima, Peru. Had a friend that owned a little boutique hotel in a small town called Lunawana. So he just started that. So I said, "Hey, can I come?" He said, "Hey, man, whatever help that I can get, come over." And so they hosted me. So I ended up traveling all around and immerse myself into like the cultures, learning like the dishes, why things are made like the way that it is, the ingredients that is being used. So I think like educating ourselves into all these aspects really helped me. You know, now I work under a fine dining restaurant, learn all of that. I went and learned all the cultures and whatnot, and then I come back to Florida, and I'm like, am I ready to open and whatnot? I'm like, or do something. I'm like, "Nah, I don't know yet." And then I had the opportunity to go and work at the Fountain Blue Hotel in Miami Beach. So joined the company right over there. Ended up becoming a senior sous chef, where now I got to learn more like the corporate side, right? Learn how to set up, the administrative side and whatnot. So I did that for about 2 or 3 years before I was like, okay, 2000, you know, 13 is comes and at a time my a good buddy from FIU, my brother Alex Cook, we always share stories. He's on his journey, I'm on my journey, and we always reconvene and get together. And then one day we just sat at a restaurant just eating, and we both look at each other a little defeated, like like with the corporate world and all this type of stuff. And then we look at ourselves and we're like, "Yo, we doing something or we're not doing something," right? That's kind of like how we said, like, and we're like, "All right, let's brainstorm." And lo and behold, we said, let's partner up and do, and a concept. And that's where like the beginning of Temple Street came. Um, you know, we started brainstorming what is our mission statement, what do we want to showcase. Um, the Florida scene when it comes to Asian food and stuff like that, it was always kind of like very structured with Chinese food, right? Chinese is Chinese, Vietnamese is Vietnamese. Um, you go to a Japanese restaurant. There's a lot of Japanese and then Thai restaurants here, but like for us, it's really like, hey, all this is the food that we love eating, but it didn't really resonate to a concept that we wanted to create. We are both of us are Asian Americans, um, like growing up with this identity, sometimes it became a little bit of a crisis, because, we go to China or I go to Hong Kong and, they don't regard me as Chinese, they're like, oh, you're, American. And here in America, they're like, oh, you're not American, you're Chinese, right? In Venezuela, it's the same thing. Oh, you're not. I'm like, hey, I'm Venezuelan. I was born and raised here. You know what I'm saying? Um, so it was kind of like, hey, like, we want to showcase our identity, or we want to showcase who we are. And who are we? We're a mix of all these beautiful melting pot of cultures that we were able to, experience during our lifetime, either from me being born and raised in Venezuela, coming here to the United States, migrating over here, going to school, meeting all these people. So we were like, hey man, let's do something that is a fast casual concept that we do an ode to all these different countries, and we do like street style food, right? We feature one dish of each country. We do it to the best of our ability, respecting the recipes and the traditions and stuff like that, but giving a little bit of our twist to it. Um, and then we opened in 2014. Um, Scared, like we didn't know if people were gonna um, receive us with an open arm or not. We decided to do noodle soups, ramen. It's Florida, it's hot. So at the time, ramen wasn't as big here in South Florida. Like people are not weren't as open up to that to this type of style of food. And the first couple of years was challenging. The first 2 years, I want to say, as a business and also the cultural side, we faced some challenges, right? Like I said, authenticity, like people questioned it, what is this? I'm coming to a restaurant. It's called Temple Street. Some people actually thought that it was like a Jewish deli at first because, we're temple. Um, can I get a big one lox? I'm like, no, no, no. Like, there's no big one lox here, my friend. Look at the menu. It's right here. It's like up there, man. And, you know, it would be like, hey, what is this bulgogi, or like the way they pronounce? So I'm like, hey, we made it a statement to train really well our team to guide them uh, through the menus. And then as they're trying, maybe some of the guests are trying the food for the first time and they like really start enjoying it. We also will throw like, hey, if you really like this is a Korean based dish. And I would say if I was to go to an authentic Korean restaurant here in South Florida, I would send them to that restaurant to go and try and expand their palates a little bit more. So that was another one of those statements, the mission statements that we had. And then as we kept growing and the people, the community started accepting who we are and how we were doing things, um, they started giving us more of a creative, like flexibility. Start finding out that I can speak Spanish and stuff like that. Our food started evolving. We were able to now not just break down to like just that one, like country's dish, but now we can mix and blend and do things where like something as simple as one day I was just craving Venezuelan arepa, like um, I make it for my staff, and then like the guests are looking at us eating arepas, and they're like, yo, I want some of that. And I'm like, okay, so turn into a special, eventually play around with the dish, and then evolve it into one of our signature appetizers, something like that. Um, you know, so, I feel very blessed. I feel very grateful of the journey that I have been. Um, Still looking forward to a lot more to where it's gonna go. Got a lot of stuff going on, working on it. Hopefully, keep growing and keep learning.
Well, you guys are doing it right. I have to tell you, it is truly one of my favorite places to eat in the world. And I love the way that you do. It's such a really unique fusion of dishes that it's just, I don't know, better than the original sometimes.
Oh wow!
So,
Okay,
in my
thank,
opinion.
thank you.
So, I think that thank you for sharing your story because I think it's so cool. I really want to share with people how you guys navigated the pandemic. And this is something that you've spoken to my students about before, but I think it's so valuable. And I know nobody wants to relive the pandemic, everybody's still got PTSD. I get it. But I think that you guys, what you did is such a great case study for success in crisis management and how to navigate a crisis. Because just to set the stage, when the pandemic hit, you kind of had every disadvantage you could throw at someone because you didn't have takeout, or pardon me, you didn't have delivery, right? You are located in South Florida where uh, things were a little bit different. Like you didn't have the grace of pausing rent on your building, for example, the way a lot of other states did. And you're you just had so many odds stacked against you. And I think it's just incredible the way that you guys were able to navigate it as a small business and succeed because we saw so many businesses close. So
Yeah,
if you could just share with us just a few of the things that you guys did to navigate that time period so that you could come out on the other end.
yeah. No, no. Thank you. Yeah, thank you for acknowledging that part. Yes, it was a struggle. I mean, all the disadvantages were there. Um, you did mention like we weren't doing delivery at first because for me, I was like, oh, the restaurant, even though it was a fast casual setting, we really wanted to hone in on dine in, uh, getting to know customers, being like, hey, we want to make sure that the quality of the food is all being there and whatnot. Something that sometimes when you go into delivery format, is you're gonna lose it, traveling, the time traveling and all that stuff. But at that point, it's survival mode. And when it comes to survival mode, it also taught us to evolve, and see how it is because before the pandemic, man, now business is completely one of the most challenging, difficult things that the whole world went through. But at the same time, it was also like I think like depending on how you view it, it was a way. It's like a wake up call. It was a way to tell us like, hey, when things don't go your way because of life, how do you navigate, right? And for us, it's like I said, okay, so no dining, no deliveries, no this, no that. I got food. I gotta do this. I gotta pay rent. So what do we do? And I say, hey, let's just see what is going on around the world at the time. You guys remember that was for some reason toilet paper was such a big commodity, right? And then everybody is hogging that, and then hogging like all the like food and oh, I can't buy chicken, I can't buy this and other stuff. And I'm like, well, I'm a restaurant, I have distributors, I have all this stuff. Let's just buy a bunch of stuff and turn the restaurant into a sort of like bodega or like a little mini market. Um, I'll butcher the meats myself. I'll start doing all this stuff, and you know, we did that. And while still serving some of the food, people started hearing about it, and they're like, "Oh, we can actually go to the restaurant and buy toilet paper." And I think it was a funny thing for them too. So like people will actually come and start buying. I'm like, oh, okay, sure, like I have it. You need it. Here we go. Do this. And then people, we listen to our customers. Oh, we just really miss being able to eat your food, like eat this dish and do that type of stuff is not the same at home. And one of the biggest ones were the dumplings. Everybody was talking about the dumplings and stuff like that. So I'm like, well, do you guys want me to sell you frozen dumplings and then with instructions and recipes? And they're like, yeah. And then somebody goes and says, how about if you host a class, a Zoom class? And I'm like, oh, I don't know how to do that. I mean, I barely knew how to like open today's episode, like how to connect with you guys. And I just go and say, okay, so if you guide me, I'll do it. And they're like, all right, let's do this. So it start like we start getting creative with it. Then we start hosting culinary classes like this. And then we also, I believe that a success for a business is always to, work with our local community, do gift bags and stuff like that. We're big. We're a big believer of that. I started saying to some of our main customers at the time were first responders, like police officers, and they were coming out, still trying to support us, and then I said, hey man, you know what if I start doing a pay it forward program, where we ask our guests to see if while they purchase their own meal, maybe donate $3 or $5 here, and then we will create a bowl and bring it out to all the first responders. And everybody was like, yep, we're doing it. And we ran that program for 6 months, and every month we will say, hey, we'll collect X amount. We pick a hospital, we pick a school or anything like that at the time, and we say, hey, we're gonna go and donate this food to them. And people rally up, and it kept I think keeping the presence, making sure that people know that, hey, even though there's so many, because everybody's struggling, but like, what do you do as an edge? If we just sit there and wait, people won't know that you're still there. So we're like, let's keep our presence, let's be there for the community, and if the community knows, then they'll keep coming back. And that's what we did, and it worked out pretty well. It kept us afloat. And so those are some of the stuff that we throughout the pandemic we were playing around to just survive, just to pay the rent, which is the biggest one. We had to pay the rent.
Right.
Alex and myself, we didn't get paid that much at that time. We were like, okay, like we pay some of the staff that's stuck with us. We pay the rent, we pay the food. We are keeping the restaurant alive because, this is not a sprint, it's a marathon.
Yeah.
We were like, we got to wait it out. Hopefully the cures will come. There will be better days. And, boom. 3 years of the pandemic, and, we started coming back, and now we're little by little, keep working on it. Then last year, we were able to open a second location inside a food hall, and I paid out for now.
Yeah. I think everything you did was great, genius. One of my favorites is the Pay It Forward program that you guys put together, because it's such a win-win-win. You win in terms of being able to do something for your fellow man, woman, they, them. You win in terms of keeping your presence, right, in the forefront of people's minds. And then you win by getting to, introduce people to your food in this really cool way. So yeah, I love it. No, speaking of food, we do have some signature questions, 2 of which are food related. And my expectations are pretty high because you have traveled so much in your culinary adventures. Before I ask you though, do you have a pen handy, or can you pretend to have a pen?
Ooh, I don't have a pen on me. Want me to go get it?
You can pretend. All right, give me your signature. Leon will ask the first signature questions, and then I'll kind of close us out with mine. But since he's not here with us today, I'm going to take both roles. The very first question is, have you ever had a Maryland crab cake?
Maryland crab cake? No, unfortunately, I haven't been to Maryland, but I
Okay.
have had the Maryland style crab cakes.
Okay. You know what? I'll take it. Leon's big thing, since he's in Baltimore, is he hates it when people say they've had a Maryland crab cake if it's not in Maryland, because he truly believes that's the only place that you can get a good Maryland crab cake. His other big thing, which I still have not yet really bought into this being real. Have you ever had bean pie? And not a moon cake, with the red bean, but like bean pie.
Bean pie, savory bean pie. No, I have not.
Apparently it's not savory. Apparently it's a
It's not
sweet
savory.
pie made of beans. I've
Okay.
never seen one. I've had a meat pie. I've had a
Pie,
crawfish pie. I've had lots of different pies. I've never seen a bean pie. I think that he's pulling my leg. Other people say that they've had them, but okay. So put that on your list.
Okay.
Bean pie. You
bean
gotta
pie.
find one. And
I
if
like
you
how you I like how you like clarify. You're like not the moon cake, because I'm like
Yeah.
that's a pie. That's
because that's where I went immediately.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's the only thing I know with beans that's not
Yeah.
beans.
right.
So okay, so
Yeah.
bean pie needs to be on your list.
Okay, bean pie.
And then my last question, it's pretty easy. I say easy a little sarcastically because it's not an easy question for me to answer. But if you could go back in time and give your 20-year-old self one piece of advice, pearl of wisdom, affirmation, anything, what would it be?
Okay. If I would go back, I will go back and tell myself to maybe kind of like when I was younger, I like kind of what you said, I just jump into things so quickly. I would say to kind of like take a step back and learn to diversify a little bit more. You know, I mean, um, we didn't do that bad, right? We survived the pandemic and all that type of stuff. But at the same time, I think it was to diversify myself. If I was to think back into, I always want to be an entrepreneur. But I think one of the things that I focused a little bit more was like I was culinary. I just want to, I got into the mindset like I want to become a great chef and do all this type of stuff. But being a great chef is great. But if always said that I want to be an entrepreneur, is that's just one aspect of it. Wearing all the different hats, you have to learn how to navigate all this, being the administrator, the operators, right? Learning how to fix, things. And also now with, technology, social media, we grew up in the time where when we opened the restaurant, something like Instagram wasn't what Instagram is now, or TikToks and stuff like that, right? Um, so really just to kind of like diversify myself a little bit more and learn to become more to learn a little bit more about the whole entire business instead of one at a time, because I feel like that's kind of like what I did too. Like I try to figure out as it comes.
Hmm.
And I think that it will be a little bit easier if like a little if you know a little bit of every single thing, and then how to navigate it a little bit easier and how to channel and stream it out a little bit better.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes really good sense. Thank you so much for being with us today. This has been such a great conversation. Anytime I get to chat with you, it's a great conversation. Thank you for being here. And if anybody's listening would like to come on to Checking In, you can reach me or Leon. We are always welcoming new guests. The easiest way to find me is just Google. I'm the only Miranda Kitterlin Lynch that you're going to find. And then if we can...
Amazing. And the amazing.
Thank you. Thank you. Or you can reach out to Leon. His email is leon@theleonthomasgroup.com. We'd love to hear from you. Diego, you're the best. I wish you
Thank
so
you.
much success. I hope that you have an awesome summer in sunny South Florida. And
You
next time I'm in town, you will see me at Temple Street Eatery. All right. Thanks, everybody.